We have ward climate change committees where citizens' representations are required. The civil society organization participated effectively for the realization of World Climate Change Act. You could see the role we played in realizing the legal instruments. That is one way how we work with the government. When there is any policy to be realized or implemented, there is what we call County Civic Education Steering Committee. This committee has not been, and public participation lies. The representation there includes civil society organizations. So Migori being established. Migori County does not have Public Participation Act. It is not there. That document is not there. So we are here. We are supposed to promote accountability. We hold the government to account. Like today, we are holding them to account that we have not realized we don't have public participation. We are going into budget making process. Citizens are done justice. Documents or legal instrument. If you challenge the government in court, you may not succeed because already that document you are going to rely on is not there. We have the provincial administration, sub-chief, assistant chief, and so forth. This organization system that goes into the communities. So, how do we work with the county government of Migori? What are we doing with what that means? We have a
as a way forward is to be as specific as possible, at the same time okay. So, because in your conversation, because the reports are there but nobody reads them, which means they are not helping us. You can mention needs as a civil society in terms of implementation. What has
as we celebrate 15 years of devolution of our constitution in this country, we are looking at we are reassessing where we are in terms of devolution, particularly because it came with some new things that were not there in the old constitution. So when we look at public participation, we have made some gains, but I also want to say that there are certain areas where we are not doing very well. If you go to many counties, there are counties that have already Public Participation Act that is guiding the way participation is supposed to be conducted. In some instances, like in Migori County, where I am, we do not have a Public Participation Act, and that gives does not provide a framework in which people can engage, and therefore that is a gap that we still have. And I would urge that the County Assembly of Migori and the other county assemblies that haven't already established an act that can guide this process, they should work on that and make sure that we have that act in place to guide the public participation discourse in the counties. You will find that most of the times the priorities of the people are not taken into account. And that means it is that the devolution is not working for the common mwananchi, and we don't know who it is working for, because ideally it should be working for the people. Yes.
The devolution was enacted in 2010 up to now. It has not much been effective in Migori County. This is because the programs on how we can conduct our public participation in Migori County has failed. It has failed because if you look at the Public Participation Act, in the last regime it failed, and we now condemn the government because if you compare it to other counties, their acts are functioning and they are effective. So the reason as to why Migori County we cannot have our Public Participation Act being enacted and to help the Migori citizens to participate effectively during the budget making process is a worry to us because every allocations, every project, they all only become benefit to the Migori citizens through public participation. And if this one cannot be conducted effectively, we are left behind at certain stages. In accordance to the law, if I can borrow an information which was passed during the devolution conference by our loving president, that the counties are given the mandate, county assembly are given the mandate to do their legislative part, and being that the public participation is an act which should be passed by the Migori County Assembly, they should do something on it so that we can have the permanent dates on how we should conduct our public participation, so that the citizens are highlighted or given the information earlier, and now they prepare, even if there is no incentives of how they can travel and go back home, they can prepare for them.
There are some issues that we identify as the key challenges that are still exist, even though the Constitution is now 15 years old. One of them was the issues pertaining to civic education. Civic education is something that is enshrined in the Constitution, and it is a requirement that before any public participation is conducted, then the government needs to conduct civic education to the community so that they can understand what is the public participation they are going to participate in and how should they participate meaningfully. Number two is the way of communication of the public participation events. We realize that the communication is still very low, and you realize that the communication is being done 2 to 3 days to the event. And this one gives it not meaningful participation, but just a rubber stamping participation, because if you communicate the dates of public participation 2 to 3 days to the event, then some people might miss participating. And that one is not going to capture the inclusive kind of views of the people. Then number three, we realize that it's a requirement that the county government needs to constitute what we call the county budget economic fora, that is constituted of all the stakeholders so that they can discuss how public participation needs to be done. We realize that Migori County, the CBEF for Migori County is not functional, and it is something that is a requirement in the law. So we are asking ourselves, is it that we are still, we are having the hope of having the new constitution, but implementing the new constitution with the old minds, that one which should not be there. We need to implement the constitution the way it is, and also make sure that we bring the spirit of implementation as per the requirement in the law. So all those three aspects of issues, we realize that this one now we need to have a discussion and now see how best can we come up with all this. And that's what brought all this discussion today, and so that we can have this discussion and then see how best can we now operate on this and then have a conversation around it. Today we brought our neighboring county, which is Homa Bay County, as a best practice, because Homa Bay County is having a best public participation model that they are embracing. And now we are discussing today with them that how best can also Migori County copy this, so that we can, in the future, when we are now conducting public participations, then now we conduct public participation as enshrined in the law, and also that is very inclusive and informative and also participatory.
There is no gap. There's no gap in implementation of public participation. I must admit that our Public Participation Act is still a bill which is still going through the processes. Actually, it is at the stage of the assembly, and there they will look at it in terms of first reading, second reading, third reading. So I'm sure very soon it will be passed. But I said there is no gap, because in the absence of a county act, then we use the National Government Act, which we are currently using.